Next on the list at number 13, and we have Assassin's Creed 2. Now, first things first, my decision to place Assassin's Creed 2 over pretty much every single Assassin's Creed that has, come into contact with the world. And that is that Assassin's Creed 2, was the game that pretty much changed up what Assassin's Creed is and what it still remains to be. And also its story and the character of Ezio and his journey through his stages of life. And that's what it had over pretty much the rest of them. Yeah, I think Revelations of Brotherhood had, the Brotherhood thing where you could call in your assassins and things like that. But it didn't have the journey that I experienced in AC2. And that is Ezio from being born pretty much to, as a young adult to his adulthood life as a assassin. And I'm going to say this now, spoiler alert, his journey from being to this young adult and then the death of pretty much most of the people in his family up to him becoming this assassin, that's what I like, is this sort of redemption story that he had going into this game, and it was lacking in the rest of them. The rest of them was pretty much, I'm an assassin now, I need to kill all these people. Great. And so AC2 really stood out from the rest of them because it had the difference. It had pretty much the difference of story. It had a point to its story. It had a difference in its gameplay from AC1. And I know a lot of people slammed AC1 as like a horrible game, but I liked AC1, and I like AC2. I like Brotherhood, Revelations, and number 3 is great, but that's why I chose 2, is that it sets it apart. There's a reason toward its story. I know number 3 has a great story, but I just didn't like some of the random things it did, and some bits of it was just horrible. Whereas AC2 didn't really have much horrible about it. It was quite horrible free, in fact. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was the first game to incorporate parkour as one of its gameplay mechanics. Now, I'm not sure if Mirror's Edge was released before this or after this, or if there was some unknown game that has parkour in it that was part of its gameplay mechanics. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But the parkour aspect of AC2 was really good. I know people enjoyed its concept in AC1, and they built upon it in AC2, all these different little things you could do, and then the historical aspect of it was set in the Renaissance. You met all these historical figures like Leonardo da Vinci and person, and this person, and this person, and all this person. To be honest, I don't know many of them. Shoot me, I'm sorry. But it's been a long time since I played AC2, so I don't really remember many of them except Da Vinci. And then you had the assassination, which I think they increased to doing more than just walking about and finding someone and assassinating them. I think you had to go through different stages to get to the assassination, whereas in AC1 it was just, here's your target, find him, kill him. Whereas in AC2 you had to do all these certain things to get ready for your assassination. And I think that's really what set AC1 and AC2 apart. But what set AC2 apart from the rest of them down the line is that AC2 made all these changes, and then the rest of them kind of stuck with them. And I think it was only in AC3 where they brought in a giant gameplay mechanic in terms of the new movement in the trees and stuff like that, and the fact that you weren't really high up on buildings anymore. But it was just a bit gimmicky. It wasn't really something that changed up how you played the game in a sense. You were just still doing assassinations the same way. You just try to get up high and then jump on top of someone and kill them. And you still had the same, walk around, try not to get spotted by some guy you're following missions. So it pretty much, it went from AC1 being, you know, the start of something, to AC2 changing all the bad things about it and bringing in some really good things, to it being repasted over the next few games and slightly changed again in AC3, where it didn't really do much to change the gameplay. And that's pretty much all I've got to talk about AC2.